Ever find yourself staring down a mountain of spreadsheets, each one like a near identical copy of the last?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the engineering version of Groundhog Day, wouldn't you say?
It is, unfortunately, a tale as old as time itself. Repetitive calculations, they're the bread and butter of a lot of engineering fields, but that doesn't make them any less of a pain.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And you know the worst part?
What's that?
It's all the tiny tweaks and different inputs just screams potential for errors. Do you ever get that feeling like when you're presenting a project and you suddenly think, did I transpose those numbers in column F?
Oh, absolutely. It keeps you up at night, right?
Totally.
But what if I told you there's a way to banish those fears, streamline those calculations, maybe even escape spreadsheet purgatory?
Okay, you've got my attention. What's this miracle cure you're talking about?
It's called Bulk Calculate, and it's here to revolutionize the way you handle those repetitive calculations.
All right. Let's dive into this Bulk Calculate thing. For our listener who may not be familiar, what exactly is it?
So imagine this, okay? Instead of 100 separate spreadsheets, you have one master spreadsheet.
Okay.
It's a command center for all your calculations. You input your variables, things like, material properties, dimensions, load factors, all in one place.
So everything is centralized. That's got to be a major time saver right there, just from an organizational standpoint.
Absolutely, yeah. But it gets even better. So you hit Calculate All, and Bulk Calculate takes those inputs, runs all the calculations all at the same time, and then populated the results right back into that master spreadsheet. No more copying and pasting between files, no more second guessing if you updated all the right cells.
Okay, this is already blowing my mind. It sounds like having a personal assistant who just handled all the tedious number crunching in the background.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. And because it's all happening within Excel, you don't need any fancy software or programming knowledge to use it.
That's a huge relief, especially for those of us who are more comfortable with, spreadsheets and code. But let's back up a bit. You keep mentioning this master spreadsheet. What does that actually look like?
It's actually pretty straightforward. You start with a template of your calculation, and this can be a worky Excel file you already use. It could be your go-to spreadsheet for beam deflection calculations, for example.
Okay. So I'm picturing my my trusty beam deflection sketch sheet.
Yeah.
How do I actually get that plugged into Bulk Calculate? Is this where things start to get complicated?
Not at all. Bulk Calculate has a built-in wizard.
Okay, good.
And it walks you through it. You're essentially just pointing and clicking to tell it which cells in your template correspond to which inputs and outputs.
So I'm basically I'm training Bulk Calculate to understand my existing spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Showing it the ropes.
Precisely. And the best part is, once you've done this mapping, you can use that same template for multiple projects. No more reinventing the wheel every time you have a new set of inputs.
So once I've trained it on, say, my beam deflection spreadsheet, I can just keep reusing that for any beam calculations I need to do. That's incredible.
Exactly. It's like building a library of your go-to calculations.
Okay.
And speaking of which, you can actually import data from old calculations into bulk calculations.
See, really? So even if I have a bunch of old spreadsheets lying around from past projects, I can bring those into the fold.
You got it. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a great way to, one, consolidate all your work, but also to, have a centralized record of all your calculations. No more digging through files trying to remember, did I already do this?
Oh, tell me about it. That search function alone would save me so much time. I can't tell you how many times I've redone a calculation because I couldn't find the original spreadsheet.
It's a common struggle for sure, but Bulk Calculate, you can kiss those days goodbye. And it's not just about convenience either.
Okay.
When you centralize your data like this, you open up a whole new world of possibilities. Imagine being able to easily compare results across different projects, identify trends, or even spot potential issues before they become big problems.
Yeah, you're speaking my language. As engineers, we're all about data-driven decisions, but sometimes it feels like the data is fighting us, This feels like it could be a real game changer.
It really can be, yeah. And the best part is this tool that has the potential to revolutionize the way engineers work, it's completely free.
Hold on. Did you say free? As in no strings attached free?
Completely free, yeah.
Yeah.
Open source. You can download it right now from their GitHub page. And because it's open source, you can even see the code yourself.
Wow, that level of transparency is pretty impressive. What's the thinking there? What's the thinking behind making something this powerful open source?
Well, the developers, they really believe in collective progress, you know? They want to make engineering more efficient and more accessible for everybody, not just those who can afford expensive software.
I love that. It feels like a community effort to improve the profession as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. And it's attracting a lot of attention, you know? Engineers from all sorts of different disciplines are using Bulk Calculate, and they're contributing back to the project, sharing their own like custom templates and improvements.
So not only is it free, but it's like constantly evolving and getting better thanks to the community.
Exactly, yeah.
That's amazing. But let's get back to like the practicalities for a moment. What happens when things change, you know?
Right.
What if my trusty beam deflection spreadsheet needs an update? Like how does Bulk Calculate handle that?
That's a great question. It's actually very simple. You just rerun that mapping wizard that we talked about earlier. Bulk Calculate will adapt to the changes in your template so you don't have to start from scratch.
That's really good to know. I'd hate to think like I'd have to rebuild my whole Bulk Calculate world every time I made a small change to a formula or something. I like that. I have to admit, I'm really liking the sound of this. It's not every day you find a tool that's both like practical, but then also kind of inspiring. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
All at the same time.
And think about like the ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
If engineers are freed from those tedious tasks, the repetitive stuff, imagine what they could accomplish with that extra time, that extra mental energy.
It's like that saying, work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Bulk Calculate, it seems like the embodiment of that.
It really is, yeah. It's about, leveraging technology to amplify our abilities, not be bogged down by it.
100%.
Yeah.
So for our listener who's, ready to nitch their spreadsheet headaches and join the Bulk Calculate revolution, where should they go? Where should they go to get started?
Well, the heart of it all is their GitHub page.
Okay.
You can download Bulk Calculate there. They've got documentation, even some really helpful tutorial videos.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll be sure to include a link in the show notes. And what about for our listener who, maybe they're feeling inspired by this whole open source thing? Is there a way they can get involved, like beyond just using the tool?
Oh, absolutely. That's the beauty of open source. It thrives on community involvement. So, you can contribute to the code base if you're comfortable with that. But even just, sharing feedback, reporting bugs, suggesting new features, that's all incredibly valuable.
Yeah, it's like we always say on the show, knowledge is meant to be shared and built upon. Bulk Calculate just seems like a shining example of that ethos in action.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think we've given our listeners plenty to digest today. Hopefully they're as excited about the potential of Bulk Calculate as we are. Remember, if you're tired of spreadsheet overload and you're ready to reclaim some of your time for actual engineering, head over to that GitHub page. You might just be surprised at what you could accomplish when you're no longer bogged down by the mundane.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe you'll even be inspired to contribute to the next generation of engineering tools.
Now, there's a thought to leave you with. This has been the Deep Dive, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of engineering innovation.